We've been talking Utah State football, but we wanted to have a chance to bring on Utah State's new athletic director, Diana Sabau, and we've got her on here. Diana, you there?
Sure am. Jason, how you doing?
I'm doing very good. How are you doing?
Well, thanks for the opportunity to be on today.
Yeah, we're glad we could have you on. I know it's been a hectic first week or so for you. You've been all over the place talking to media. I imagine talking to a lot of people behind the scenes. So we're very glad that you could make time to come on here.
Thanks so much. Always a pleasure, and I look forward to being a regular.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have you on sometimes. Obviously, a very hectic time to be on. So I know a lot of fans are just curious to, what's going on. It's behind the scenes with so much going on with conference expansion, the Mountain West, and, just obviously, and then there's the job of being an athletic director in general. But I guess kind of first question is like, what was some of the first stuff that you were doing, when you started? I think it was last Monday was your first official day. Like, what's job one for you? Like getting your desk set up? Like, I guess what was the first thing you were trying to get done?
Well, Jason, I think fall is the best time of year because we have this just convergence onto campus with our student athletes, our student body, and we already have our volleyball team, our women's soccer team. Cross country starts this weekend. Volleyball and soccer have already been on the road. Volleyball has 2 matches at home this week, tomorrow and Thursday. And obviously we're kicking off football in Iowa Saturday, so it's really a lot of excitement, a ton of energy. Football camp has been hard this summer for our young men. Blake's worked a lot over the summer with putting his, in the off-season, putting his coaching staff together, making a few adjustments, bringing in some quality character. And, now he's running the offense and the quarterback, so really excited for that. I think we got a fast team, and I hope we can go in with some quiet confidence. My first day, I'm on week 2, day 2, and I started early in the morning last week meeting with some of our teams that were just coming back and having our team meetings, taking care of some of that business behind the scenes with compliance and with academics and with our trainers, just getting everybody squared away and on the right path for a really successful athletic and academic year.
So I guess maybe you've already touched on this a little bit, but just like I've always kind of worried, especially when you get these, high, executive positions, like, what does, a day in the life of an athletic director look like? What are you doing on a day-to-day basis? Because, players, boots on the ground, they're running drills and things like that, and coaches are coaching. But, what, is the role for an athletic director as far as, like, are you helping schedule things? Is it a lot of, compliance stuff? Like, what's generally, a day for you?
First and foremost for me, really, it's about the people. It's about our student athletes. It's about the community. It's about our donors that have made Aggie athletics a priority in their giving. And right now I'm on a learning campaign. I'm just listening and learning. Last week I met with some of our donors, went to a few events, met with some official visits with some parents with their student athletes that got brought to campus, went to practices. And, I want to be present. I want to make sure that our student athletes feel supported, that our coaches feel supported. Talk today about some scheduling and some future scheduling for football. Went to Salt Lake City for some media interviews on Sunday. Last Wednesday, went to Salt Lake City to meet with some of our historic donors that have been very kind to our athletics department financially, and just really hoping to grow those relationships. One of the responsibilities of the athletics director is to make sure that we're taking care of our student athlete experience, and that's my number one priority, that we have to grow comprehensive excellence all across our programs, our 16 varsity programs. And that is not only, reaching out and talking with our donors today, but how do we grow that financially for the future? And I think, especially with conference realignment and all that's happening right now, athletics directors have to be future-focused to make sure that there is sustainability within their athletics department.
So as you've been traveling around, talking to all these different people, I know traveling between Salt Lake and Logan, because there's obviously connections with the rest of northern Utah, but as you've been in Logan, talking to the people, talking to everyone who's living here, like, what's been your impression of Logan? I mean, you've been here all of a few weeks, but just what's been your impression of the community and just kind of the state as a whole, here in Utah and in Logan?
Well, first, it's absolutely beautiful. I think everyone is spoiled with the beauty that surrounds you every day. It's breathtaking for me, coming from the East and the Midwest. I've never had that on a daily basis, so that's a really nice, just a visual and mental change for me. I actually met some people. I went up to Ogden, too, so I don't want to forget that, and met with some of our great donors there also. So really, everyone's been so nice, very welcoming, super kind. I've just found the pride to be tremendous. There's excessive pride for Aggie athletics, the foundation that has been built, and where we can take it to the next level and how we can continue winning and winning the right way is really important for our community and our fans. And we just need to get our student athletes to continue to give back to the community and to continue to get out there. I think during COVID, maybe, it had to stop because of COVID, and we're not really back to the level that we have been in the past, so I look forward to getting after that really quickly here.
So you mentioned, I know in your introductory press conference, you used the phrase, like the next level, and you talked about getting back to maybe a pre-COVID level, but I was kind of curious with that language of, getting to the next level. That's something you talked about in your introductory press conference. Like, what does that look like? How would fans
Sure.
know that we've kind of reached the next level? Like, what does that kind of mean, for Utah State athletics?
For Utah State athletics, I want that to be about consistency. I want that to be consistency in the student-athlete experience and in winning. So when I talk about the next level, I want Utah State athletics to be a constant pride point for the university, and that means that we are in the upper tier of the Mountain West Conference. To be 5th or 8th or 11th, that's not necessarily a pride point. And when you have coaching staff that can work together consistently over time, that increases your planning, that increases your discipline, and that increases, maximizes the student-athlete experience, and that produces winning. I'm a really competitive person, and I do believe that we have more to achieve here at USU, and that our student-athletes want that as well. I also think it's important that we continue to drive success in the Mountain West Conference because we need to grow our brand presence, and we need to have, when I walk through the Salt Lake City airport, I don't see any Utah State gear, or I don't see any the presence. I don't see our Aggies present there, and I'd love to have that change in 2 years, or be able to have that pride extend well past Cache Valley. But that's not done quickly, and that's done over consistency over time, and that to me would be reaching the next level.
So I guess I don't know. Maybe this is the magic question. If somebody knew the answer, they'd be fabulously wealthy. But I guess how do you kind of establish that consistency? I guess because obviously that's the goal. But I mean, you've been around programs that have been consistent. I guess is there a secret to how they get to that way?
Yeah, it really all goes back again to the people and the student-athlete experience. If we're providing remarkable experiences in their education, both in the classroom and on the court, on the field, no one is with our student-athletes more than our coaches. So we've got to have really, really good teachers. But those good teachers, those good coaches, when they achieve success, we've got to be able to retain them and keep them at Utah State. Our student-athletes, when they achieve success, we've got to be able to keep them out of the transfer portal and keep them at USU. If we keep looking at programs, like our men's basketball program last year, we had a coaching change, and then the entire roster left USU. We don't want to go back to that place again. That's a really difficult place, and it puts an extra challenge on our new coach with Danny Sprinkle on how to replenish and rebuild that roster quickly. So if we can maintain consistency and grow that student-athlete experience, I hope that we can keep our students here at USU and let them see how important it is to the community, the successes that they achieve.
So I guess kind of following up on that, I guess what are the first steps to keeping the athletes here? Is you mentioned the student athlete experience? I imagine that's part of it. I know NIL gets brought up a lot. That's something a lot of people like to talk about. Is this just kind of a combination of those things to be able to keep athletes here?
It's a combination of all of that. I appreciate what you're saying because you're right on. But we also have to grow our resources. We have to grow our fan base and grow those who care about Aggies athletics so that they're also donating to helping our student athletes achieve more, whether that's in nutrition, making sure that our student athletes always have the protein and the nutrition they need, the hydration that they need. Maybe it's in travel and how we're traveling to different events. Maybe that's just making sure that we have our facilities in the highest performing capacity so our student athletes can achieve success. We have some great facilities here, but I think it's time to look at the infrastructure and see, okay, what needs to be updated, what perhaps could be modernized so that our student athletes say, like, yeah, this is the best place in the Mountain West to play.
I know that's one of the questions I think Eric was wanting to ask is, like, kind of just the state of the athletic department. I know you just kind of touched on it just now, but, like, what are you feel like the strengths of this athletic department? Maybe, some areas of improvement. I guess, like, what is your kind of assessment? I know you haven't had a whole lot of time to assess everything, but just, your impression of the athletic department, its strengths, weaknesses, areas of improvement, your assessment so far.
Yeah, Jason, I was going to say, you're killing me. I've been here 2 weeks and this is my second week in 2 days. So
I need all the answers now. Absolutely.
I know, like, that's why I said we need to make this a long-term relationship here. But we have really great people here. We have really a great staff, from head coaches to facility managers to our equipment managers to our trainers. They really care deeply about our student athletes. I've been able to see that and really experience that firsthand. So that's paramount, really important to me as an athletics director, and how we're treating and improving that student athlete experience. I think one of the areas that we can improve on is fundraising. And I think that we need to cultivate a broader base of those who care and want to give. We've had some really loyal, and I'm very grateful for the families that have established the foundation of USU Athletics. But I know there's some others out there who want to be a part of this, and we just have to reach out to them and create an affinity and tell a story that they want to give and they want to contribute to what we're trying to achieve here.
So I know one of the things is obviously just hanging over all of college football, in Utah State especially, is, conference realignment. We talk about it pretty much every day on this show. Obviously, the Mountain West, not necessarily in the thick of it, but certainly really involved, obviously now with the state of the Pac-12 or the Pac-4 or whatever we're calling it these days.
What are we calling it?
Yeah, I know. I've heard some people call it the Pac-X. It's just, it's something. But I guess just, what's, from your view, what's like Utah State, what's their kind of role? Like, where are they in terms of, conference realignment? Like, is there anything like you can do right now? Is it, trying to establish relationships, back to that, people game? Like, what's Utah State trying to do as far as be in the best place when this kind of game of musical chairs is, done with for now, I guess?
Yeah. Most importantly, Utah State, we need to all be aligned and in alignment with the Mountain West. Our presidents in the Mountain West are all in alignment with looking at every option for expanding the Mountain West. From my chair at Utah State University, we need to be the most competitive we can be so that we continue to provide value and have impact with the Mountain West. I think everybody has probably heard our Commissioner, Gloria Navarez, went to Washington State University last week and met with their president and met with their athletics director and various constituents on campus. And then she was at Utah State yesterday meeting with all of those entities as well, because we want them to know we want them to be a part of the Mountain West Conference. We think that's the best fit for them. And, but with that said, everyone who is in the Mountain West right now has to add to our value within our TV multimedia rights category. And that's going to come up, I believe, for bid in it expires, terms out in 3 years. And so, in 2 years or a year and a half, we really have to start that negotiation process. And if we don't bring value in winning, especially in football, and bring eyeballs to that television viewership, then we are not carrying our load in the Mountain West.
You mentioned, the conference being, a good fit for some teams maybe coming over from the former Pac-12. Like, what would the pitch be to, teams, to Washington State, to Oregon State? Maybe to a team in the AAC. I don't know if that's something the Mountain West is looking into. But, what's the overall pitch for those teams to join the Mountain West? I guess coming from the Pac-12, a former Power 5 conference into what's been called, a Group of 5 conference in the Mountain West.
Yeah, first of all, we're all very prideful in the fact that we win the right way. We all have very equitable programs with similar sports. We value the experiences of our student athletes. And geographically, it's a great fit because you're not having to have student athletes travel across the country. When you have to have a mandatory day off every week when you're in season per the NCAA, and then you have, especially in Olympic sport where you're going to have a midweek competition and a weekend, maybe one, maybe two competitions. If you're having to travel across the nation, you really have to stop and look at what that does to your student athletes, your physical well-being, your mental well-being, and your academics. So, geographically, it fits really well. Also, the viewership that we receive right now through our media agreement is high. We have great eyeballs on our games right now, and that's also part of that.
So, I just thought of one question. I don't know if it might be a super complex one, but I know one question is that the idea of like a Mountain West Pac-12 merger. Like, is that something that's plausible? I don't know. You may or not be super involved
How
in
much
that.
more time do we have, my friend? It's really complex, and just as a quick level set, it's not something that can just be done overnight.
Yeah.
You can't just merge two conferences. There's a lot of governance that's involved with that, and so it's easy for people to say we should just merge, but the complexities of that make that reality very extremely difficult.
Yeah, I know that's kind of been the impression. Is like I don't know what that entails. Like, because that's something that everybody seems to say, but I'm just like that's why some of your insiders like, how does that happen? And I guess the answer is just super complicated. I guess.
It's complicated. It involves the NCAA's. It involves your boards, which is your presidents and your chancellors. And it would not be something that the faint of heart or a quick process could take place.
That feels like just the entirety of college sports. It's not for the faint of heart. It's a very complicated world.
I like to say if we have our center focus being student athletes, then we should be making right decisions every day. And sometimes, external factors are now guiding the industry, which we all have to just take a pause and make sure that that's where we want to be and that embraces our mission, our values, and our philosophies.
All right. Well, I think it's about all the questions I had for you today. I know. Hopefully,
are you sure?
I went through a bunch of questions. I don't know. That was about most of what I could think of. Because I wanted to ask you about conference realignment. I don't know. I talked about NIL. I know I'll probably think of all the questions once we're done here.
Well, we can do this again sometime soon. I appreciate all of your audience, and I hope that they come out and support our teams this fall. Our women's volleyball is contagiously exciting. Our women's soccer is achieving great things as well. And then, of course, obviously, we have our football team that, we still have tickets available for all of our games, and we really hope to see some new faces in the stands.
Yeah. I guess I'll ask you just kind of this one more question. If there's something you want to accomplish year one here at Utah State, I know it can be tricky to accomplish, a lot of stuff that's visible on the outside in year one, but if there's something you want to try and accomplish, what would it be?
I have about 5 things right now on my short list, but I'm still on my listening tour, and I think it would be premature if I put those out there before I meet with all of our key stakeholders internally and externally, and that's on campus as well. So I would just like to be disciplined to that process before I publicly give you that 1 or 2 must-achieve within this first year.
I'll
be ready once I talk to everybody.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, that's a big thing for you is listening to everybody, and that's very nice. As someone obviously coming into the Valley, I was an outsider once. I grew up in Davis County, and I had to come here, and I've had to learn a lot. So it's a process trying to learn the history of a community in such a short time.
Yeah, and I deeply appreciate what the foundation that has been set here, and the foundation of success and the facilities, and just how much the community truly cares. I see that it's apparent to me every day, and I want to be respectful to that as I listen and learn and build this new strategy.
All right, well, we do need to cut to break. We're so glad we could have you on. I would love to have you on in the near future, just as you get further along and as there's more and more updates with obviously with your time here at Utah State.
You got it. Thanks so much. Have a good rest of the show, and go Aggies.
All right, thank you so much.